सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Chapter 7, we'll chant verses 21 to 30.
There's a problem with the sound today.
Okay.
I think we'll have to just chant it.
Okay. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha shraddhayarchitumicchati tasya tasyachalam shraddham tameva vidhadhamyaham sataya shraddhaya yuktaha तस्याराधनमीहते लभते च ततः कामान् मयैव विहितान् हितान् अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्यल्पमेधसां देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यन्ते मामबुद्धयः परं भावमजानन्तः ममाव्ययमुत्तमम् नाहं प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजमव्ययम् वेदाहं समतीतानि वर्तमानानि चार्जुन भविष्याणि च भूतानि मां तु वेद न कश्चन इच्छाद्वेषसमुत्थेन द्वन्द्वमोहेन भारत सर्वभूतानि सम्मोहं सर्गे यान्ति परन्तप येषां त्वन्तगतं पापं जनानां पुण्यकर्मणां ते द्वन्द्वमोहनिर्मुक्ताः भजन्ते मां दृढव्रताः जरामरणमोक्षाय मामाश्रित्य यतन्ति ये ते ब्रह्म तद्विदुः कृत्स्नम् अध्यात्मं कर्म चाखिलम् साधिभूताधिदैवं मां साधियज्ञं च ये विदुः प्रयाणकालेऽपि च मां ते विदुर्युक्तचेतसः So, any questions? Aditi, you have a question? Go ahead.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om.
Anyone have a shift between Bhakti, Gyan and Karma Yoga? For example, 10 years before, bending more towards Gyan and now bending more towards Bhakti or vice versa. Was contemplating on it, but I would like to have more clarity.
Yes, it is possible. Every human being has what should I say, a climate and a weather. Just like the Bombay has a climate and a weather. The climate is what is the stable part. Okay, now as I look out, it is beautiful rain. It's all gone dark and lovely, and all Bombayites love this weather. So now, what is the weather at the moment? It is raining. It is cloudy. It is dark. It is cool. But now that's our weather. But the climate of Mumbai is basically hot. I mean, all around the year it's going to be hot, hotter, and hottest. But we have these moments where it's nice and cool and breezy and lovely. So every human being has the climate and the weather. Climate is the stable, sustaining thing. Like we know that say June to maybe August we'll have rains in Mumbai. We know that November to sort of January, February, it will be relatively sort of a bit cooler or whatever, whatever our winter is. May is going to be hot, April is going to be hot. So we have a climate, something that is stable. And then we have weather. Weather changes on a day-to-day basis. You never know what the weather is going to be. So similarly, human beings are also like that. We all have our climate, that means our stable nature. And then every once in a while something comes up, something goes down, these variations keep taking place. So when these variations are taking place, well, one day we may think I'm a bhakta, one day I may think I'm a jnani. This will go on and on. You decide whether you're a bhakta or a jnani. How often does this thought come to you, I'm a bhakta? Or a thought means how often do you conclude I am a bhakta? How often do you conclude I am a jnani? That will give you the final climate. That means, like say 60% of the time I am something. So yes, you will, in terms of experience, you will see the shift and change. The climate is going to stay the same, but the weather will change. Is that clear?
Okay, so there will never be a major shift in your. So there never be a major shift like going from bhakti all the way to jnana in that sense, like over a long period of time. That is what I was.
Well, maybe. I mean, it is possible for the climate to change, but it is not usual for that to happen.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Jan.
Sarah says, I have a few questions about emotions. How do you determine the quality of an emotion? Could the same emotion be considered selfless or selfish depending on context? Could you give examples? Sarah, can you bring this question up in the relevant class? Because now we have 2 classes on emotions, and if the other 2 classes also become on emotions, then some people will say that Vedanta is only emotions, there's no other topic in this whole Vedantic study. So please bring up this question either in the Vedanta treatise class, which would be the best place really because we are discussing this topic, or in the poems class because we are discussing emotion there also. So we can, and even if I answer it now, there'll be many questions coming from it, so then this class will become a Vedanta treatise class. So okay, fine. Anyone else has a question?
Om Shanti Janki ji, Harsimran here.
Harsimran, Hari Om.
Hari Om, ma'am. Ma'am, in the last class, I'd asked a question as to how do we figure out which yoga we are supposed to follow, and you said we get that through self-analysis. So, if the path that we have to follow is one of bhakti, what do we do to get on that path, and what do we do to be on that path? For example, for knowledge and action, I could still understand some that this is how you do. How about bhakti? How do you get on that path, and how do you continue being on it? As in terms of what are the things you can do?
First thing, you find a guru who's on the bhakti path, because that guru will be able to lead you on that path better. Now, as for a Vedantic view, even when we talk about bhakti, we start explaining it. But actually, when you do bhakti, you're supposed to be feeling it. Now, Vedantins can't help explaining things, so we will go into an analysis of what bhakti is. So, you need a bhakti oriented guru to be able to do that. But in understanding the path of bhakti, of course, Vedanta will help, which is that you engage in such activities, in such reading, in such company that will bring about noble emotions in you, such as you go to the Gurudwara and you hear the Gurbani, or you chant, or whatever it is that engages your emotions in lifting the personality up. So you sort of find you sort of, like, I don't know, I don't know what you're exposed to so far, but let's say you're singing bhajans. So say राम प्रभु की भद्रता का, सभ्यता का ध्यान करिए. If you heard this famous bhajan by Bhimsen Joshi and Lata Mangeshkar, says, it talks about the greatness of Ram. Manushyata ko kare vibhushata. We are all trying to cultivate human values, but he is the one who manushyata ko kare vibhushata. He has reached such an epitome of value that he gives glory to humanity, to the value of humanity. So this kind of bhajans and all, they uplift our minds to feel for something greater and vaster, and move it away from any petty concerns that we may have. So whenever you engage the emotions to pick you up, it could even be like you watch a film like Shahid Bhagat Singh, and you see the feelings, the way he has lived his life, and you're inspired by such things. So anything that engages feelings as a method of self-purification comes under Bhakti Yoga. So how do you do it? In principle, this is what you do. So what are all these feelings that engage? What are all the feelings that we have to get engaged? It would be things like love, gratitude, surrender. So that's how you do that. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, anybody else has anything to say? Okay, so where were we last time? So, veiled by Yoga Maya, I am not manifest to all. So the facts, the reality, the truth is just not seen by us. And the whole complication of life arises because we blind ourselves to the facts. This is the nature of the mind. This is the story of Mahabharata actually. The ruler of our personality, the ruler of the kshetra. Kshetra means this kshetra, this field. Today is our mind. This mind is blind. So this is shown by Dhritarashtra being the blind king of Hastinapur. We are the blind. Our mind is the blind king. It is dictating orders. It is saying what is to be done. But it is blind. It is directionless. It doesn't know where it's going. It doesn't know what it's doing. And it has extreme attachments to so many things which just cover it in darkness and blindness. What is the blindness? That you can't see the truth, you can't see the fact, you can't see the reality of things. Get carried away with something which is just a figment of our own imagination. Now, what happens in this badly run country where the king is the mind is that the intellect gets wedded to this blind mind. So Gandhari, who is capable of seeing, who is able to see, who understands everything about, she is a wise woman. What does she do? The moment she gets married to him, she puts a patti, she puts a blindfold over her eyes. And so the intellect which can see, which has the ability to see, the Dhritarashtra is born blind, he can't see anything. But the intellect can see. But when the intellect goes and gets wedded to the mind, it also gets blinded, it cannot see. The mind will not let the intellect see anything. And this combination of a blind mind and a blinded intellect brings forth 100 negative qualities, which is the 100 Kauravas. This is the story of our life. Sarah, are you familiar with the story of Mahabharata? Because if in India, of course, everybody. Okay. So Mahabharata is this great war that took place between a fratricidal war that took place between two sets of cousins, one good, one bad. It is the epic of India, and it tells the story about how this war was fought. So why was this war fought? Because the bad cousins took from the good cousins their kingdom. And so the Lord Krishna helped the good cousins get the kingdom back. This is broadly speaking this text. It's 100,000 verses, and it's the largest extant text. There's no text bigger than this. It's 100,000 verses. Can you imagine that? So where does it start? Not where does the story start, but where does the problem start? There's a blind mind who is the ruler of our kingdom, Dhritarashtra. He's the father of the bad cousins. And his wife, when she marries him, she also blindfolds herself. And though she can see, she denies herself sight because she's married the mind. And this combination, this couple, give rise to 100 negative children. They're known as the Kauravas. So that represents the 100 negative faults that we have, because our kingdom, this kingdom is being ruled by the blind mind and the blinded intellect. So that is all. This is the story. Mahabharata is a story from which this text, the Bhagavad Gita, is taken. The Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. So Mahabharata explains it in some dramatic sequence of events. But the Gita tells us exactly the same thing as a philosophy. So what does he say? He says, veiled by Yoga Maya, I am not manifest to all. So when I am not able to see the truths, I am not able to see the facts, I am not able to see the reality, what happens is, all the problems of life start. We can't put our feet on the ground. We can't be stable human beings. The truth is very important. Facts are very important. They don't go away. You can close your eyes to them, but they don't go away. And when we close our eyes to them, we only create confusion, we create disaster, we create problems. Simple things, everyday simple things. I don't like to exercise, so I won't exercise. But the fact of the matter is, this body is sustained by exercise. If you don't move the body will wear away. Then you will say, I've got old. There's no such thing as going old. There is something called neglect of the body. So in everyday simple things, we refuse to see a fact. We refuse to see the fact that the body requires exercise. So we will obviously not provide exercise. Then we will face all bodily problems. Simple everyday things to the vast big things of life. Everywhere are we blinded by Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya, as you know, yoga means union. Maya means not that. So when you unite yourself to something which is not that, means you unite yourself to a falsehood. You're welcome, Sarah. You unite yourself to a falsehood in life, and what happens then? All the troubles. So we have to work backwards. Do I have troubles in my life? Do I have agitation in my life? Do I have a problem in my life? If I have one, then I have to figure out what are the facts over here. Now, even in finding facts, we will do all sorts of funny things. We will ask questions for which, even if you get the answer, it's not going to help you move forward. So, Yoga Maya covers us in various ways. So, I will give ourselves stupid answers. We'll say, why is this happening to me? And I say, oh, it is my pichla janma karma. It is my karma from another lifetime. Like, what kind of answer is that? How is that helping you? It may be or it may not be. The important thing is, what is the karma that is giving rise to this, so that you can change that karma. Karma means action. What is that action you're doing wrong? Identify that and cure it. Don't worry about is there a past life, is there a future life. Arey, I've got blood pressure, let me handle that. Let me not worry about whether there's past life and future life. So we tend to get Yoga Maya involved in everything. Whether we escape the root fact or in the pursuit of the fact, we allow Yoga Maya to sort of, I don't know what, to wail us. It's almost like anything we do is stupid. Then how can anything work well? At every stage of the journey, Yoga Maya is clouding our way of looking at it. So therefore, Vedanta is always maintained, develop your intellect, develop your intellect, develop your intellect, because nobody can hold your hand through everything and tell you what is to be done and what is not to be done. So we have to be able to figure things out on our own. And doing that, in fact, is what will develop the intellect. So therefore, this deluded world knows me not, the unborn and imperishable. So the same madness that we have in our practical life, in our Vyavarik Jivan, in the world, the same madness we bring to spiritual life. Because whatever Yoga Maya you have, whatever inability we all have to see the truth, we will bring that same ability when we come to a spiritual classroom, right? It's not that you come to a spiritual classroom and then suddenly everything disappears. No, it's the same nonsense we bring here. You can understand it at the physical level very easily. Suppose I was living in this city and I was a jealous person or I was an agitated person, then I'll go to the ashram. Okay, when I go to the ashram, suddenly I will experience peace because I made a change, so I'll experience peace. But should I continue to stay at that ashram, then what will happen? That same jealousy which I had in the world towards people who had more money or more resources or more looks or more height or more black hair or whatever in the world I was jealous about, I will come to the ashram and I will still be jealous. I will now be jealous of something else. Oh, this person answered the question in the class better than me. But maybe the teacher was only partial. Some nonsense we will come up with. Because that same quality of jealousy which we had in the world, we will bring to the spiritual path. So that's why Swamiji has often said that the students he would like to have are students who are trained in mathematics, because you've already learned how to think. So then when you come to Vedanta, it is just easier. It's just easier all round. But if we didn't know how to think in the world, we would find it very difficult to think even in Vedanta. So it's not that we as worldly people become something different by coming to the spiritual field. All that happens is the arena has changed where our negativity is going to be expressed. So if we were egoistical in the world, we'll come to the spiritual path and be egoistical. We'll be egoistical for anything. How well I chant? How well I answer? How many books I've read? It's the same ego, right? So he says, such people who are veiled by Yoga Maya, the truth is not obvious to them. So when they come to the spiritual path, even the concepts of God are not clear to them. This deluded world knows me not. We don't understand what is God. What is God? He is the unborn. Everybody says Krishna is God. But Krishna has a birth date. You celebrate his birth date. You have Krishna Janmashtami. And Krishna has a death date. But Krishna doesn't have a birth date and a death day. In other words, the self is unborn. The body, mind, intellect is perishable. No body, mind, intellect is the Lord. That which sustains the body, mind, intellect, that which is the self, is the Lord. So he says, know me to be the unborn. Whatever you see as being born and whatever you see as dying, it is not the self. It is the imperishable. It is that which cannot end. There is no birth, there is no death, means there is no change. The world knows me not, the unborn, the imperishable. Almost a satire on Brahman, saying that, everybody is saying, oh, God doesn't love me, and God is saying, you guys are not loving me. It's so close to us and so utterly missed. This is the tragedy of our life. So close and still can't see. Paschannapi chana paschati modaha, says Shankaracharya. Those seeing do not see. So close, the text is so close to us, and yet we don't get its meaning. Sad. Taruna, you have a question?
Yes, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
My question is that Yoga Maya and play of Guna have a same meaning? Because is there any rule of play of Gunas? Because despite sometimes knowing what is the right thing to do, what takes us towards a goal, despite knowing we are not able to follow the path. Is there any role of gunas to play in that?
I don't know why you're bringing in gunas with reference to that. Of course, gunas have something to do. It's all the same thing. Gunas is nothing but a classification of vasanas. So, Yogamaya refers to Prakriti, refers to gunas, whatever in the world you want to call it. But that has got nothing to do with why we are not able to do things which we know to be right.
Because, for example, we know what is exercise. Doing exercise is the right thing.
Taruna, you're giving an example. Taruna, wait. Explain only when the other person has not understood. So I'll repeat your question for you so that you know that I've understood what you're talking about. You're saying that many times we know what's the right thing, but we are not able to execute it. That's your question, right? So why can't we do it? Has it to do with gunas? So an explanation with an illustration is not necessary here. So what the point is, firstly, it's got nothing to do with gunas and all. What it has to do, what is the direct reason is that no change is possible fast. If you are driving in a car at 60 miles an hour, you can't take a U-turn, right? So you have driven your personality in a particular manner. Now you want to change it. So that will take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to struggle, and one day it will change if you keep on the struggle consistently. So don't think that, oh my God, I've understood but I can't do. Naturally, that will be there up to realization. Our intellect will always see more than the mind can execute. This is a common stance all the way down to realization. It's not going to change. So please relax and enjoy your life, because this is what you're going to experience right up to the end of the journey. You understand, but you can't do. Now, when you understand and you can do, that means you have evolved. And when you come to this position where you can understand also and you can do also, all that happens is you will understand some more. So this position is going to stay exactly the same. Again, you will see things beyond what you can do. Exactly like if you are driving a car, the headlights will show you a few yards ahead. Now, if you stand over there, you'll keep seeing that and you'll be standing where you are. But if you drive those few yards, what will happen? You'll see a little ahead. So that will go on consistently. It is all the baggage we have come with. Now you can call that baggage gunas, vasanas, prakriti, nature, ignorance, yoga maya. You can give it any name, because different authors, different teachers will call it different things. But the fact is that we are proceeding in a certain direction and now we are bringing about change. So that will take time, and relax and enjoy this process, because it's going on till realization. It's not ending at all till then. Every step you take forward, you will see more. Today I think, oh, these are my faults. Let me conquer these faults, then I will see more faults. And that is the story, as you are aware, of Kalya Mardan. In Kalya Mardan, what happens that there's a what shall I say? There is a pond, the lake, in which there is this horrible snake, Kalya snake, horrible, and he's in that pond, and he is poisoning the snake, and so poisoning the lake, and so the people cannot benefit from that water. So what does Krishna do? He jumps into that lake and wars with Kalya, with the snake. Now he's a many-hooded snake. He has many heads, many hoods. And so Krishna cuts off the head of the snake. And then what happens? Miraculously, another head comes up. And he goes on cutting heads, and more heads come up. And this is like, sounds like this is never going to end. And people are all frightened. Krishna has gone into the water and he's not coming out. Because every time he would cut a head, another one came up. And so eventually keeps on and on and on and on, finally manages to kill the demon. And then the story goes that after he has managed to kill all the heads, all the wives of the demon, Kalya, of that snake, come and offer him whatever, gifts and whatnot. So this represents the spiritual path. That lake is our mind. And our mind is poisoned by the many-hooded serpent, the ego. The ego is looking here and there, everywhere. This many-hooded serpent. So then Krishna, which means the higher ideal, the higher thought, the self, we have used that to chop off the heads of the ego. But every time you chop off the head, another one comes up. ये तो कुछ ज़्यादा ही हो गया. अभी तो मैंने ये किया. Now another one I have to do. Yes, another one and another one and another one. And then finally, when you manage to do it all, remove the entire, kill the demon ego, kill that many-hooded snake, what happens? The wives of the snake come and pay homage. That means all the sense objects of the world will naturally be at your beck and call, at your command. So, so this is exactly what's going to happen. You jumped into that lake, Taruna, you started chopping the heads, but sometimes they don't get cut, sometimes the moment they get cut, you will see others. All this will go on. Relax and enjoy the journey. This is what it is. Okay, so all that baggage has to be removed.
So the more we work, the more we see the area needs to be worked on. So this is the journey.
This is the journey. Yes, every time you clean a room, you'll see more dirt in it. If you find yourself free of any dirt, please know that you're not cleaning. Because if you do clean, you will see dirt. So you will find people who are not on the path find themselves completely all right. It is us on the path who say, oh my God, ye bhi hai aur wo bhi hai. So much dirt I can see.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aditi, okay, Aditi, you're welcome. All right, so this verse is clear that we are blocked in our vision from seeing the fact and the truth. Okay, Amaranda, from seeing the fact and the truth, and so that creates all the confusion in our material life. And when you come to the spiritual life, you still can't see the facts and the truths. The same madness that we bring to this, and so of course our concepts of God become very strange indeed. It is a sad thing. What is this? Saraksha. Can I ask you? I'm hearing that a new world being made. Can you explain if possible? I don't know. This is not my field, Sarah. How to deal with negative people? How to deal with negative people? Recognize they are negative. That's how you deal with them. You understand that they are negative, and then you work from there. This negative person has to be attended to in a way that doesn't trouble me, obviously. If somebody is doing something stupid, suppose somebody says to you, Sarah Shah, you are such a stupid person. Suppose somebody says that to you. So you immediately understand that he's a negative person or she's a negative person. I don't have to take that on myself. Or somebody judges me badly, that's their problem, not my problem. That's why Eleanor Roosevelt says, no one can make you feel low without your permission. So you stand on your 2 feet. You decide what you are. And nobody should tell you anything. Nobody can bully you and tell you, oh, you're so bad, you're so conditional, you're so this, you're so that. It's their problem, not your problem. So, how do you deal with negative people? Understand that they're negative. That's the first fact you notice. Oh, somebody says, how do you deal with positive people? Understand they are positive. So when somebody says something positive to you, understand that that person is positive. When somebody says something negative to you, you understand that person is negative. Why do we bring ourselves into the picture? We'll go mad. Some people will say, some people tell me, oh, you're so great, you're so wonderful, you're so this and that. Some people say, you're so stupid, you're so silly, you know nothing. Now, am I supposed to go up with everybody who says good things and down with everybody who says bad things? It would be stupid, right? I stay me, whatever I am, for better or for worse. This is what I am. This is the climate here. This is how it is. Some may like it, some may not like it. That is them, not me. What work I have to do, I know. I'm going to do it. Or not do it, as the case may be. Okay, I hope that's all right. All right, so shall we go on to verse 26? Anybody has anything? Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kakshana. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kakshana. So last verse he told us, nobody knows me. Nobody knows me as that imperishable, as that which has no birth, has no death, which is changeless. To have no birth and to have no death means to have no beginning, means to have no end, which means not subject to any form of change. Because what is birth? It is the creation of a new experience. What is death? It is the end of the experience. So when there is no beginning and there is no end, that means it is changeless. He says, nobody knows me like that. Okay, then he says, Vedaham samatitani. Vartamanani cha bhavishyani. Vedaham. Veda means to know. Aham, I. Vedaham, I know. Samatitani means the past. Vartamanani, the present. And bhavishyani, the future. So what is the Lord saying? Please notice this verse very carefully. It is a little difficult verse and you have to pay attention to understand what he is talking about. You already know, you have studied that the self is the enlivening principle. It is not what you see, but what makes you see. It is not what you feel, but what makes you feel. It is not what you think, but what gives you the capacity to think. You already know that, right? The self is the enlivening principle in you. So whatever you see, no murti, no Kaaba, no cathedral, whatever you see is not the Lord. What is the Lord? It is that which enables you to see that. The same force that enables you to see the cathedral is the same force that allows you to see the, shall I say, the symmetry. Isn't it? It's the same thing. What makes me see is the self. What makes me hear is the self. That which makes me hear people say bad things about me, and that which makes me hear people say good things about me, that enlivening principle is the self. Not what I hear, not what I see, not the good, not the bad, but that which enables it. The self is the enlivening principle. It is the inactive principle. God in us is like petrol in the car. Without petrol, no car will move, ever. It can't be done. Okay? No car moves without petrol. However, where the car goes, whether it goes safely or meets with an accident, whether it goes for good purposes or for bad purposes, whether it has high performance or low performance, whether it's a Rolls Royce or a Maruti 800, whatever, has got nothing to do with the petrol. Petrol stays just the same. So, whether it's a sinner or a saint, whether it's a thief or an ordinary person or a Ambani, the self is the same. No matter what differences there are in the body, in the mind, in the intellect, in the perception, in the feeling, in the thought, the self stays the same. It is the enlivening principle. Because of it, everything happens. That's why they say, Bhagwan ki marzi ke bina ek patta nahi hilta. Without the will of God, not even a leaf can move. That's what it is. It's the enlivening principle. Without the enlivening given by the Lord, nothing can happen. In other words, without petrol, no car can move. But what happens? Is it a good act or a bad act? Is it a good perception or a bad perception? Is it a good feeling or a bad feeling? Is it a sensible thought or it's not a sensible thought? The Lord has got nothing to do with any of this. So the Lord is not an object of perception, emotion and thought. The Lord is the very subject in us which enables us to perceive, to feel, to think. This much you all have already studied. This much is clear, right? The self does not undertake any activity. Naturally, if he is the unchanging, if he is the imperishable, he obviously cannot be undertaking activity, right? Because any activity is an experience, and an experience will have to change. So there is no beginning, no end with him. So there cannot be any activity. There cannot be any knowing, because the moment you know something, you didn't know it before, or you didn't know it after, or whatever, there's some change. So it cannot know anything, it cannot feel anything, it cannot perceive anything, it cannot act anything. The self is the inactive principle in all actions. So this much I hope is clear. Now in this verse we find a very strange thing. It's almost like he's going in contradiction of what he has said so far. He says, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani bhavishyani. I know the past, present and future. Now this we have already studied is not possible. The Lord cannot know the past, present or future because past, present and future are thoughts, and thoughts come from, who's going to answer that? Thoughts come from what? Thoughts come from where?
Desires.
Memory, mind.
Thoughts come from, you can't say kinari, you can't, from vasanas.
Vasanas.
From,
Memory.
no, not memory, vasanas. Why memory? Vasanas. So, all thoughts come from vasanas. Okay? You can't say thoughts come from desires. Why can't you say thoughts come from desires?
Because thoughts are desires.
Thoughts develop into desires. That's right. Thoughts develop into desires. So you can take vasana as the seed, the thought as the sprout, the desires as the sapling, and action as the tree. Okay, so from that root of vasanas, the inherent tendencies, from that root you get a thought, that thought becomes a desire, and that desire converts itself to action. So from the seed you get a sprout, a shoot, then from that you get a sapling, and from that you get the full-blown tree, which is your action. So the self cannot know anything, cannot have a thought. All knowledge is nothing but thought, right? So the self cannot have thoughts because thoughts come from vasanas. Vasanas means ignorance of the self. Self cannot have ignorance of the self, right? But here he is clearly stating, Vedaham, I know. Vedaham, I know. Samatitani, vartamanani, bhavishyani. I know the past, present and future. Namam tu vedana kakshana. But nobody knows me. I know all the beings of the past, present and future. I know everything that has happened in the past. I know everything that's happening in the present. And I know everything that will happen in the future. So you can misunderstand this verse and say, oh, God knows everything. He knows what happened then. He knows what's happening now. He knows what's happening in the future. So that naturally means everything is predestined. Otherwise, how will he know now what is happening in the future? That means it's predestined. This is a misunderstanding. It comes from a misunderstanding of the verse itself. What is the verse saying? Very carefully, please attend to this, because these are philosophical concepts. When we go wrong with base concepts, then the whole building we build on it becomes wrong. So when he says, I know beings of the past, present and future, please understand what this means. This means that what are beings? Beings are animate creatures. Animate creatures are animate because they have thoughts. What is the difference between animate and inanimate? Right? The inanimate does not have a subtle body, and the animate has a subtle body. That's the difference. The table cannot have a thought. But every animate, every living creature has some subtle body. Some thought means some thought, some feeling, something happening at the subtler level. So even plants are shown to have some minuscule emotions and all that sort of thing. So every living creature has had some thoughts and emotions, right? Everybody, every single living creature that has ever been on the surface of this planet or on any other planet, if such a thing exists. Now think about this carefully. How is it that we experience a thought? A thought is nothing But when we experience the sense I know is a combination of a thought plus the self. Manish, can you put that on the screen? I know is equal to thought plus self. Isn't there some way I can write on this screen? Let's see.
Yeah, just follow, please.
Okay. I'm just seeing whether I can do this. Can I do this? Oh, I can't do it. Host disabled participant screening. Okay, so while Manish is writing it for us, I know is equal to thought.
I think you can do it now.
I can do it now.
Just check, please.
Okay. Okay, as a whiteboard has come, let's see. Share. One lives and learns. Okay. Okay, so we learned a new thing today. How do you do this? Hari Om. 1 second. I'll come to you, Shilpa. Okay, so can you see this? Can you all see what I've got over here?
Yes.
Okay.
We can.
So yes. I know is equal to thought plus self, right? So every living creature gets the feeling, I know. Like a cockroach is walking somewhere, he says, I know there is food there. Or amoeba in your stomach or something says, I know, whatever, this is a tasty, whatever, grub or something. I don't know what they think. But whatever, they get the feeling, I know. Now, every I know has got a thought plus the self. So, every time there has been the thought, I know, there has always been the self. So, the self can say that every time any knowledge has taken place, I was there. Therefore, since every time knowledge has taken place, I was there, I can say, I know everything. Okay, I'm going to repeat this. Every time we get the feeling, I know, it is a combination of a thought enlivened by the self. There's a thought and there's a self. So, any time in the past or present or future, wherever any animate creature, any living being has got the feeling, I know, the self has always been there. So, whenever there was I know, the self was there. So, the self says, I know the past, present and future means I have been ever present in all knowledge. I was there when the first man may have said, I know that it's raining today. And I will be there when maybe the last person on the surface of this earth says, oh my God, here is a meteor coming on us, whatever he says. But wherever the feeling I know was there, God was there. The self was there. And therefore the self can very rightfully say, I know it all, what happened in the past, in the present, in the future. It is not meant to be taken that he knows the thought. What it is to be taken as, it is he has enlivened the thought. Because when people say, oh, God knows everything, then they go on to, oh, sages know everything. Sages know your past and your future. Why? Because they are close to God. And so now since your future can be predicted, therefore it is all destined. No. This is all a completely wrong line of thought itself. Your future is being created by you right now with whatever you're doing. So nobody can possibly know what the future is going to be. But the self will be there. The self will be enlivening any thought. So he says, so now let's read this. I know the beings of the past, present and future, but no one knows me. In other words, we know the thought, we cannot know the self. I hope that is clear.
Chankyji, can I ask?
Sure.
Since you just mentioned the self knows the present, past, and future, does it mean that the self has a memory?
Preeti, you haven't been listening to a word of what I just said.
Yes, I have it.
Okay,
That
repeat
is
what
why
I
it's so
said.
Confusing. It's confusing.
Can you repeat what I just said?
No, but then how does this
No,
happen?
can you
You
repeat
say
what
that
I just said? Never mind. The question is...
It's the enabling factor.
Right.
Self is the enabling factor.
Very
It
good.
doesn't act.
It doesn't act and it doesn't?
It has no emotions.
Correct.
And it is just the enabling. It is
Yeah.
not. It is an object, not an object, but a subject.
Correct. Very good.
Right?
Okay.
But then why do we say that it knows the present, past, and future?
So what was the explanation given in the class? How can we say that he knows the past, present and future? What was the explanation given in the class?
That is why it is confusing me. I want to understand from you.
Okay,
I
go
want
back to
clarity
the...
in my mind.
Go back to the formula. I know is equal to thought plus self. So wherever there has been I know, there has been the self. So the self can say, wherever there was knowledge, I was there. So wherever a being thought I know, I was there. So I know what every being has thought, as it were. It's a poetic way of putting it. But no being can know me because I am not an object of knowledge. So wherever there was a thought, the self was there. But as long as the thought is there, you won't know the self. So therefore, he says, no one can know me. I'm not an object of knowledge. Jatin says that, Varsha, is self a witness? Yes, Varsha, self is a witness. Jatin, why does he say no one knows me? Don't self-realized persons know the self? You're right by putting the word know in inverted quotes. They don't know it as an object of perception. They have found the very subject within them. So they don't know it in the sense we know something. You know there is a class on. So that's your object of perception. Nobody can know the self outside like that. Everybody has to know it as the subject of perception. So you can't really use the word know, but there is no other word, so we use the word know. That's why even you have put it in quotation marks. So you have corrected it by saying are one with the Atman. Yes, so they don't know it in that sense, they're one with it, but even saying one with it is wrong because you and I are also one with it right now, even when we are not realized. So even that is a borrowed term. So any term you use becomes a borrowed term. Okay, so we will please think about this verse carefully, everybody, because it's complicated. So think about it carefully, and if you have any questions, we'll take them next time. Also, please give your telephone numbers, your WhatsApp numbers to Bharat, who has started a WhatsApp group. So any announcements with reference to the class can be you will know what's happening, because otherwise we have no way of contacting you should there be any reason. So please give your numbers to him. After this session, Manish, please put Bharat's number on the screen after the session. Okay, so Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you, Janki ji.
Hari Om.